Meanwhile, dear friends, in Europe, even though a vast majority of European countries are, controlled globalists as we know it, and are in full support of prolongation of this proxy war that they are waging against Russia, there are exceptions. And for example, in Hungary, there was a referendum, by the way, and according to reports, some 95% of participants in this referendum rejected Ukraine's EU membership. So Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban announced that an overwhelming majority, or 95% of the citizens, voted against Ukraine joining the European Union in a national referendum. And Orban was very vocal in opposing Ukraine becoming part of EU because he has now additional argument that, first of all, Hungarians are against it, and they demonstrated their will in a referendum, free and fair referendum, right? And at the same time, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban was always saying that if Brussels will continue these provocative policies and will bring Ukraine into EU, then that will mean that war itself is coming to EU. And EU was not built for wars. EU was created for economical partnership between the European states, first of all. Although unelected bureaucrats in Brussels are transforming this economical alliance that it's supposed to be, or it should be, into some sort of dictatorship of the Brussels, right, or the globalists, and that is one of the reasons why Eurosceptics are on rise all around the EU, by the way, in practically all EU member states, right? So I will say this referendum in Hungary is final straw, I guess, in hopes of this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky to ever join EU. They're not going to join EU, by the way. It's not happening, not now, not ever, right? First of all, because Ukraine, as we knew it after Soviet Union collapse, will not exist on the political map once this conflict will end. And western parts of Ukraine, if Poland, Hungary, and Romania will make a claim on those their historical territories, might actually eventually become a part of EU and even NATO, but rest of the territory will never join EU or NATO because it will be either part of Russia, or if Kiev and few surrounding regions will stay on the political map as a state, landlocked state, then only under Russian umbrella, under Russian security umbrella, under Russian zone of influence, completely free from Western puppets, let's say that way. And on the topic of Ukraine's prospect of NATO membership, well, even though I was saying from the beginning, by the way, that Ukraine never had no realistic chances to join NATO on this military alliance, including for very reasons that I just mentioned, some elements in NATO are still pushing this idea that, well, sometime in the future, Ukraine might and should join NATO. For example, leader of Finland on a sideline of a recent NATO summit in Hague stated that, well, currently Ukraine's accession into NATO is off table because of the US, because of the Trump's position. So he's accusing Trump that it's Trump's fault that Ukraine cannot join NATO now. But he's also exercising the idea that next administration might change the policy. So therefore, Ukraine might and should join this anti-Russian terrorist organization. Well, they can dream about. But as I already said, dear friends, only way NATO can expand on territories of modern Ukraine is in the western parts of it. And even then, that will happen only if Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia will make a claim on their former territories. And they will. I'm quite sure they will at some point, right? And in that case, because all these three countries are NATO members and EU members, these territories eventually will be in that system, right? But rest, absolutely impossible. Not even a slight chance. Rest territory will either completely join Russia Federation after referendums, or yet again, if Kiev and there are a few regions there will maintain status of the state, landlocked state, then only in Russian sphere of influence. That's how it's gonna be, man. Mark my word on that. And also, I want to share with you, dear friends, this quite interesting news that spare parts for Ukraine, well, not anymore. Fire destroys military repair hub in Germany. Obviously, I mean, this is not in a scale that will completely shut down spare part supplies or weapon supplies to Kiev regime, but it's still something, isn't it? So, repair facility in Erfurt, Germany, was where Western weapons for Ukraine were being serviced, has gone up in flames. I shared video of and photo of this accident, let's call it that. And well, what can I say, dear friends? There are many people all over the Western world that are against globalists, are against neocons, Zionists, against their seeker ideologies and their ideas, against wars. And they are opposing this proxy war that West is waging, Western elites are waging against Russia. And these good-hearted people and brave people are doing whatever they can in some cases to disrupt globalists and their puppet regimes in the West to prolong this proxy war. And I think this incident when military vehicles, military equipment was destroyed in this German facility is related to those good-hearted, brave people. But yet again, I'm not an investigator, obviously, and I cannot know for sure, but I think maybe that is the case. And this is not the first instance, by the way, when some logistical hubs were burned down or neutralized one way or another in the NATO countries, and would not be last, for sure. And also, dear friends, when it comes to NATO, when it comes to Western hostility towards Russia, let me, on that matter, give you this news that U.S. ambassador to Russian Federation completes a job and leaves Moscow. So U.S. ambassador Lynn Tracy is leaving Moscow. Diplomatic mission reported on its Telegram channel. Diplomat said that after her mission in Moscow, she would leave their diplomatic service. And if you are interested, I'll give you some facts about this personality. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Lynn Tracy as ambassador to Russia at the end of 2022. She took up her duties in January 2023 and became the first woman in history to hold this position before in Russia, by the way. Before this, Tracy was ambassador to Armenia, and from 2014 to 2017, she worked in Moscow as deputy head of a diplomatic mission. In February, the media wrote that she could be replaced in her post by U.S. Special Envoy for Libya, Richard Norland. Excuse me. He speaks Russian and worked at the embassy in Moscow in the late 80s. Reports of Norland's possible appointment came as Russia and United States seek to normalize relations. It was noted that his diplomatic experience in crisis regions could play a significant role in the new stage of interaction between Moscow and Washington. And well, we will see. We will see if this prediction is correct and Richard Norland, former US or even current US special envoy to Libya, will take the job of being ambassador of US in Russia, and how successful he will be in terms of somewhat normalizing relations between Moscow and Washington, which would be great. Think actually, if two major nuclear superpowers are at least on a good working level. But is it possible during the Trump's presidency, let's say? I'm skeptical about it, dear friends. Share your take, but at some point, initially I was a little more optimistic, but as time goes by, this optimism is disappearing, and only skepticism is left. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, and in next 2-3 years time we will see significant de-escalation, at least between Russia and US. But I don't know. I don't know, man. In my opinion, based on the information that we are receiving from open sources, I think opposite might actually happen, and in near future. And Trump may actually escalate with Russia even further than his predecessor. It's a possibility. Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.